Hello, hello, hello. It's your only spiritual friend, Jin here, Jin in the house. And today I'm going to talk about something around flaking and ghosting and how to navigate through that via shadow work, inner work. So at the moment, I am in Kigali, Rwanda, and I'm still fairly new to this place. Before that, because the purpose of the video around how to navigate through ghosting and people not being honest about if they want to meet you or not is taking place in Ethiopia. So I'm landing in Ethiopia. The whole story is I'm landing in Ethiopia. I'm meeting a lot of people, both men and women. And the thing is that when I meet these people, especially the women, they're very, very conditioned. They're very conditioned by their religion. So there are some good things. Also the men, but in this mostly the women, they're very respectful towards their religion, right? Which I really, really understand. For example, I've met again mostly females that are more religious than the men that I've met, right? So for example, I met a couple of girls where I talk with them, and we talk about spirituality, we talk about Jesus, Christianity, because a lot of people here are Orthodox Christians, and I meet them, and I can sense that they're real. Like for example, I meet them. For example, I'm having my coffee in a cafe, and then I just chit chat with people. I just look around. If somebody looks at me or feel like they have a good vibe, I talk with them. So I met some of them, and they're like pure. They're like, okay, they don't want to do anything. They're like, okay, I'm just sitting here, I'm hanging out here, I'm going on church, blah blah blah. I'm not doing anything. Like I want to be pure. I want to stay just with me. Even talking to a man or hanging out with a man is a sin. So some are like pretty extreme. And you meet, and the tendency to meet, especially women, are higher than in Europe, like in Northern Europe, where I'm born and raised, right? So that was like, okay, fair enough, then these people are real. But then I also met other people where they're like, they don't know what to do, they're like, oh, I don't know, I wanna hang out with you, blah blah blah, but I can't, blah. They're just very like, they have this mental battle happening within them, right? Which is which is potentially draining them, and it's confusing them. They don't know what they want, blah 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 blah, right? They say one thing, they do the other thing, right? So it's like, so for example, it can be frustrating, for example, to make appointments with these people, right? And that has also been like, again, like in this trip, like I met a lot of people. You interact with a lot of people, men and women, and then you make an appointment with them, and then a lot of times there's no messages, no nothing. And of course I know why. It is because even in my country, people wanna be polite. They don't wanna reject, right? That's the reason. Even here in Kigali, Rwanda, is the same, right? Like they just don't want, because I met like a really, really good friend of mine, and she's like, she rather just want to ghost, like she just rather want to give the number and then get away with it and ghost, right? So it can be a bit frustrating, because as the other one, like the one who want to meet, it can be very, very frustrating. So because you don't getting any answers, and then you leave. So that's one powerful mindset that I want to share in any kind of social setting, right? It's like, okay, you reach out, especially when you're in a new place, new country, you reach out to these people, and okay, if you don't, the way I do it in any kind of social setting is like, hey, I just want to invite them out, and like, hey, okay, let's go out this and this date. Are you into tea or coffee? Blah, and then I invite them out, right? I give them a couple of options, like Monday or Tuesday evening, I'm free, let's go, right? If the response is that I can't, or they ghost you, I'll just leave. There's no need to pay more attention, to use more of your precious resources on that person. Because if a person really likes you, whether it's in a friendship manner or in a dating manner, even in family matters, right? They will get back to you. They will find their way to get back to you in far, far most cases, right? And you also want to be with persons who want to get back to you, right? They show some kind of interest, like right? You showed interest. Okay, it is what it is, right? There's no way, like, unless it's very extraordinary, it's a very extraordinary person, then okay, then I even break the norm. For example, I met somebody who was just wow, amazing person, and then actually reach out to her a couple of times because this was extraordinary. We had an extraordinary vibe. But again, like in many cases, like the person, if they don't really reach out to you the first time or come up with an excuse if they why they cannot meet you, then the interest level is pretty low, right? So yeah. So how do you deal with this? Whether we're in Ethiopia, where I feel like my experience is that they're very conditioned. They don't know what they want to do. They have the religious traditional blockages, which is fair enough, right? It is good, right? It's good to follow. It's good to have faith. It's good to be very sane about what you want. And then in Denmark, where people are much more liberated, much more free. They're not, how can I say, on and on conditioned by their religion. And I'm not saying it's a wrong thing to be conditioned by religion, because you have faith and then you follow that faith, and then there's something beautiful around. For example, the woman that I talked about earlier, like she's like, oh, I want to stay pure, I want to stay did. Okay, there's something. Oh, wow, it's amazing. It's amazing that you just want to, you really are strict towards yourself. But again, like we can have a lot of discussions around that, like what is the limit, what is the balance. So anyway, Denmark, okay, people also want to be kind to you. They're very afraid of confronting you. And in Ethiopia, I was very surprised. I thought people were much more direct, because that is how I experienced all the other countries, right? Like whether it's Namibia, South Africa, especially Kenya, even Tanzania to a degree, right? As far as I remember, people in Tanzania were pretty direct too. They're just much more chill about it, right? But so in Ethiopia, I was very surprised that the lack of directness, the lack of just telling, hey, they just are so kind that they misuse the kindness, instead of just being honest, like you can be honest, like I was honest towards a couple of Ethiopians, because there was one girl that I was pretty honest towards, I was like, hey, I don't see us meeting up again. It doesn't make any sense, right? And there was a guy who wanted to see the Avatar, one of my friends, local friends, and then I had so much work piled up, so many things, so many releases, all kind of things, and then he just popped up like, okay, I talk about honesty, I talk about straightforwardness, and then I just I just shot him a message around like, hey man, like I really don't want to watch this movie. It's really not me. It's 3 + 3 hours. I want to use those +3 hours on something else, right? So how do you? Okay, that is the problem, right? Like, that many of us want to be afraid of, you know, in most cases, why do people ghost? Why is it that they don't are upfront? It's because they don't want to hurt. They want be like all these people want to be nice people. They don't want to hurt. So it's always asking like, what is the positive intention? The positive intention is that that people don't want to reject others because they know that it hurts. Rejections really hurts. And most of these people have also experienced rejection, or they have experienced reject other people, and they felt that the other person was getting hurt. But they can also be like, in a dating perspective, like women can be afraid that the man will go berserk, like he will be aggressive and stuff like that. Then it's just easier to, for example, the one I have here in Kigali, Rwanda, she's like just postponing it, for these men, like just postponing it, like, I cannot this weekend, I cannot that weekend, I cannot, and then until it just fades away, right? So I really, because she want to be nice, she don't want to reject, and it hurts to be rejected, she suffered from rejections herself. Not that many, but she know the pain of being rejected, right? She don't want to inflict that same pain on others, So that is, in far most cases, the psychology. We just want to be nice, right? But again, like for me as a man, I I am very, obviously I look into the person and figure out, okay, like, is this person a good, like, can the person handle it? How I'd sit down and talk with that person and tell that person, hey, like, we don't even need to, we don't even need, like, if it's a person are attached to me, I immediately feel it, and then I address it, and then I even let the person know, hey, like, you just met me, we don't even need to do anything, right? We don't need to go any further, like, either if it's a friend or is it somebody who wanna just see me more as a friend. I just tell them, like, upright, hey, this is we don't need, you can just reject me straight away, right? For example, there was one girl that I dated, and then it was some years back, and then I had to go abroad, as a part of my healing journey. And then I said to that person, hey, do you know what? I'm going abroad. We only seen each other for a short time. It's now that I realize I'm actually going abroad in a couple of months, so I don't want us to take it any further. So let's just stop seeing each other. I don't want you to get hurt. So that's about it. So how can you go? So if you're on the other side, and you have problems around this, like socializing and so, like you have appointments, you have everything, and then boo, you don't hear back from this person, right? And it's easier said than done. I come up with my method. I just invite them out. If I don't hear back from them, okay, I move on, right? Because I trained this a lot of time within myself. This is inner work. Just release. You don't have anything tied, any emotions, anything tied. So it's easier said than done. But how it can also be annoying, right? Especially like when I was in Ethiopia, like you talk, and you had a lot of ghosts. So at one point it got me, and then I had to do some inner work. So the way I did it is like I did something called incident shadow work. So I just found, like, in my case, I found 3 different jinns out there who got rejected, who got ghosted. So I found, for example, at one place I found myself just sitting in the couch, like this couch, beautiful couch. I'm sitting there, and I'm seeing him just being inside of his head, inside this ashram, like just thinking, like, what is going on? Like, okay, I go up, there's nobody who want to meet. Like, my friends, these new friends, they don't want to meet. What is going on? Like, this woman that I just talked with, okay, she doesn't want to meet. Okay, so you see him just suffering. And then I see another jinn, he is in the act. He is in Java house or whatever, right? And he's like socializing and stuff like that. And then he doesn't hear anything from these persons, right? They just act it up. So I gather, for example, the guy in the couch, the guy at the Java house, and then I breathe in and breathe out, breathe in and breathe out, going into my higher self. In this case, it can be the higher self. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. I find the guy at the couch. I summon myself there, and then I tap into what is going on, what is going inside this guy's head, the guys at the couch. What is going on, in this ashram? What is going on in the ashram? So I'm just like going into a dialogue with him from the first incident, and then I just suck everything in as a swarm. I'm just in the higher side. I'm not there to fix anything, and then I tell this person I will love him, I will care for him, until I just go towards him, I lift him off the couch, and then I hug him and say, everything is be all right. We will succeed. It's all right, It's all right, because you are feeling sad. Because why is it that this first person feels sad? Because he wants success. He wants success in life. He wants to have a good time. That's why, with his new friends, he doesn't want to be alone. He doesn't want to be alone. The same goes for the second one, who is getting rejected. Like, he's just rejected. He is in the jail house. He's getting rejected. Same stuff, right? And then you take both of these shadows, hug them in, and just hug them, and tell these shadows that you love them, you care for them, you'll nurture them, until both shadows are dissolved together with you as the higher self into oneness. There's no In this case, myself, there's no gins anymore. Everything is one, everything is love. You just release, you know, and you're at one. And then you go come back and you are more, you find yourself, in most cases, more calmer. Because the thing is that you fill yourself with all the love and nurture and care. You just fill yourself with all of it, right? Until there's, until there's nothing. Until there's nothing to be filled anymore. Like until, if somebody rejects you, somebody like you just with yourself, you spend time with yourself. For example, the last couple of days, I've just been here in this beautiful Airbnb just by myself, cooking my own food, walking out, blah, 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 right? Even reject, like for me, I had my own place. I even had to reject people who want to meet up, right? So that is where you at, like you are at the place where you just love and care about yourself. You protect your own energy, that is where you at, and that is what is amazing about this work, like every time you feel depressed because somebody rejected you, you can go back to the practice and do this incident shadow work, find 3, 4, 5, up to 5, maybe even more incidents where you see yourself getting rejected. Take all of them in individually, one by one, and then finally take all of them in at the same time, hug them, dissolve everything into oneness, and you feel like, wow, it's just here. It's inside of the head. The suffering only happens here. The suffering only happens when we allow it, right? We have a bigger meaning with life. So for me, when I did this, I was like, okay, my meaning with life is just to continue spreading joy and happiness and value out there, continue being there for the people I work with while I'm traveling, and stay safe, like that is an experience, experience everything, experience the rejections, experiencing getting triggered and come back to the couch and release and heal. That is an experience in itself. It makes me so happy to just see, the experience of me just saying this out loud. It's just like amazing. I'm having this beautiful, nice camera in front of me and have my beautiful mic here. It's just like, wow, it's just bliss. It's bliss. This is a blessing. This is, wow. It cannot be conceptualized. Wow. Okay, so that is how you deal with it, because again, like people, they have different reasons for ghosting, So some of them, like the ones I interviewed, when it comes to dating, women, they just want to be nice. They don't want to hurt you. That is one of the, probably the main reasons. Same it's not even here in East Africa, but also in Denmark, it's the same, all around the world, it is the same, right? And other reasons could be that they're just tired of experiencing men getting hurt, or even men getting aggressive, because some men can get really, really aggressive, when they get rejected, because they can activate their own wound, and then they just like project all those shadows on this woman, and then the woman can also get triggered about, maybe it can trigger her abusive relationship that she has had in her life, and then we're just using each other as screens, as shadow dumps. It can also be that the woman in this case, or even the man, are just genuinely busy, that they cannot really get back to you. So the best way is just to fill yourself with all the love and care and nurture. So you just go out there, give value, and then release. You don't need anything from nobody, right? That is where we want to be. All right, let's do this. All the best. Let go and let life.